The first time I took a look at this Durafly Prime Tundra, I did really bash the wheels, that they were a poor choice from Durafly. So on this one I replaced the wheels, so these are E-Flight turbo timber wheels. In order to get these to fit the axle, I had to take a 4mm drill and drill halfway through the center of the tire. And by doing that I could actually just put the tire on the axle and it's held in place. I don't need any distance piece or washers on the inside, and I used the stock nuts, so it was a really simple solution. And these wheels, they are a little bit more spongy, not really too spongy, but a little bit softer at least. So my hope is for these wheels to avoid at least some of the bouncing that I experienced with this RC airplane, because I think it's a really nicely flying RC airplane. It's an excellent beginner RC airplane in many aspects, but the bouncing on landings is really unfortunate. So let's just head out and do a new flight with this one and try out these timber wheels then on the Prime Tundra. It's going to be an interesting flight because I have the new tires on this one. So first just take a few turns and it's really difficult to just resist to only do takeoff and landing. So I mean I just have to do some sort of little bit of aerobatics before doing the landing. The flaps are engaged. And today I have a little bit of a breeze, so I have to keep up speed a little bit more compared to when it's just dead calm. As you can see, this one handles slower flying just great, even if you bank it quite steep. It doesn't fall out of the sky. Okay, it does bounce, maybe a little bit less. But let's get it up again. These timber wheels are softer than the stock, very stiff foam wheels. Let's land again. It's pretty good, but it does bounce regardless, even if I have a rather soft touchdown. I can compare this to the Hobby Zone Apprentice S2, and then I think this Prime Tundra is much more fun to fly. It's more agile, and when you do push the throttle, you get an instant response, which is something I appreciate very much. I really don't like, for instance, the Apprentice S2 when it does have to pick up speed before I can do things, but this one just gives you power right away, and you can push through the maneuver you're in. And slow flying, as I said, is just super excellent with this RC airplane. Let's land again then. It does still bounce. Maybe it's just a tad better than the stock wheels. Let's get it up again. You can climb really steep also. And this is fun, just to maneuver in this tight space. It's just excellent behaving RC airplane. Just really, truly fun one to fly. I wish the build could be better because there are a few choices that I don't agree with Durafly how this one is put together. I think the wing could have been made in an easier way, like for instance, like the E-flite clipped wing cub. But it is what it is, and it really flies really fun. Flaps are engaged again, and the flaps, you know, they do slow down the RC airplane, but it's not as slow as some of my other RC airplane, which really slow down with flaps. But this one, even without flaps, I think it really slows down in a good way. So the flaps are more like an added bonus. Let's land again then. I mean, really have to grease the landings to avoid bouncing, and then again it does bounce regardless. I'm talking, I'm just keeping throttle when I need it, and it just responds right away and just pushes through the loop. It's just the way an RC airplane should be. So let's go in for the final landing then. And it's really enjoyable to fly this one slow because you don't have to worry. And, I think I'm making these landings quite smooth, but it still bounces. So that's the only negative thing I can actually find about this one when you fly it. I think it looks great also. It's a really greatly designed RC airplane. Just as you saw during this flight, I think these timber wheels, they might reduce the bouncing just a tad, just a little bit. But the real problem, I think, with this one is when it comes to landing, and if you want to avoid bouncing, is actually this is a really lightweight RC airplane, and the landing gears, they do not flex enough. So when you do land, it's like just, you know, a hard hit, and unless you have like really soft tires, like air-filled tires that are not filled all the way, I think it doesn't really matter what kind of wheels you have, because these landing gears, they are just too stiff, and the plane doesn't really weight these landing gears down when it lands. So for instance, if you just look at the E-flite MAL M7, for instance, those landing gears, the metal parts, they do actually flex quite a bit, so it's a really nice and soft landing. So I mean, lightweight RC airplane, stiff landing gears, it's not a good combination. So I would really like to either have seen some sort of spring mechanism, but I mean, just a thin metal wire that would flex more would be a really good choice for this one. So I think I have to live with this one bouncing. So of course, apart from this grass soccer field, I had to try it on hard surfaces. So I went just to a parking lot to try and see if I mean, how these wheels would work, and I don't think the difference between the stock wheels and these timber wheels are worth it really. I had this like a spare pair of wheels, so it didn't cost me anything, but I don't think that you would gain any significant performance to avoid bouncing on landings. And also I discovered that I don't think this one, it's really nicely slow flying RC airplane, but I experienced more with the flaps, and I don't think that the flaps helps too much. I think it's by design it's a really nicely flying RC airplane. So even if you land without flaps, I think it just performs great to slow it down. So the importance of the flaps, of course, I can always increase flap angle, but I have it pretty steep. So and I think that's a good thing, because if you don't need the flaps as much, it makes for even better and easier flying. But the flaps are there, and they do, of course, slow it down, but not in the same class as, for instance, like again than the MOL M7 or I mean, even the Kingfisher, I think, really benefits on having the flaps engaged more than this one. But I mean, they are there, and they surely do help. Another thing that I discovered, that there is this Velcro strip inside, which you can attach, and I've used the 2200 milliamp battery, which are a little bit longer than the recommended, like 1300 or 1600. So I without any problems, I can fit it just on this Velcro strip, but it doesn't really stick too good to the foam, so this one comes loose, and there are no like straps or anything. So I guess that is something to be just to think about, to maybe have better glue on this Velcro strip, because I think that if you can get this one to stick to the foam, I think that's a really easy solution. Just put the battery in, and even if you do inverted or aerobatics, the battery will stay in place. And even though this strip of my RC plane came loose, it didn't. I mean, the battery didn't come loose and started to move inside the compartment. And also this hatch is it's a pretty strong magnet. So I think that it's no problem with the battery falling out. So I mean, that's just a couple of second thoughts, especially about the tires then. But overall, I think this is a really great flying RC airplane, really fun. You don't have to worry. You can do so many stupid things when you fly around, and which would cause many other RC airplanes to just stall and fall out of the sky. So that's a few more thoughts then about this Durafly Prime Tundra.